Hello, my name's Damon Gennaro, and my two brothers, Dylan and James Gennaro, both live here at Flat Rock Care Center. 9 years ago, my brother Dylan was placed here, and when he got here, he had a lot of serious behavioral issues that were really, quite frankly, as a family, we didn't know how to handle them. But over the years, he's really made tremendous improvement due to the care and help of the staff here at Flat Rock. And then approximately 5 years ago, my younger brother James, Jimmy, he was placed here in Flat Rock as a resident. And although he does have behavior issues, they were very different from his brother's issues. You know, their two are brothers, but they are polar opposites, the way they act a lot of times. And so here again at Flat Rock was really able to help James to really make progress in just the different behavioral problems he had, and he's really showed tremendous improvement.
Flat Rock Homes becomes extended family to the individuals and their families that we serve. One of the more difficult things for the parents that we serve is actually the act of placing their child. In a lot of ways, for me, it is really a spiritual movement. It is allowing and trusting that someone other than you can care for your children, and in this case for children that really can't tell you whether that care is good or whether they're getting what they need. For the parents who bring their children to Flat Rock, they have had to experience all of that, and even though they are seeking a better life for their child, they are often filled with a sense that they've somehow failed, or that they've somehow not done enough. And part of the work that we do is really to work with that whole family and help them understand that they have given and given and given, and that none of us alone would be able to do this kind of care for their child, that it takes a community to be able to do that. The children that we serve, for a large part, are not only developmentally disabled, but they're also nonverbal. And so that means that they can't speak their needs to us. They speak through their behavior, and their behavior becomes their form of communication. And as is true when you have a small child that takes their plate and throws it across the room and says, "I'm done," essentially, without speaking the words. So you see those kinds of behaviors in the individuals we serve, behaviors that really come out of being frustrated at not being able to communicate.
The general public, from my perspective, if they don't have a child with special needs in their family, I don't see, unless they work in the field, I don't see how it's possible for them to really understand the challenges involved. I know we as a family, before my brothers came along, we had no idea how all the challenges involved, and it takes a tremendous amount of patience and trial and error, and really, most importantly, it takes a tremendous amount of love to be able to care for a child with special needs, because, for instance, my brothers are nonverbal. Communicating with them has always been a challenge. And for us, it can be frustrating when we know they want something and we can't tell what it is, and it's even more frustrating for them.
A part of what sets apart the individuals that we serve at Flat Rock is really their functional abilities. we serve children from ages 6 and then throughout their lifetime into adulthood. And our philosophy here is to receive children as early as the need is, and then to live with them and care for them and live among their families as a participant in that child's life until they become adults and into adulthood and old age.
About 3 years ago, the boy's mother passed away, and then about a year or so after that, their father passed away. So now, as a family, then we had to make a decision, being that they live several hours away from us. Were we going to keep them here at Flat Rock, or see if there was a comparable facility closer to home where we could move them so that they can be closer to us, because it is difficult to make that long trip. So as a family, we looked into what was available in our area, and really there was no place that could offer the quality of care as Flat Rock. In fact, some of them even said, "We know we can't do any better than what they have." Something I'll always remember is when my brother's mother first was investigating where to bring first my brother Dylan. It was heartbreaking. And I'm sure it is for every parent that has to bring their child to a facility when you've cared for them for their whole life, and then you realize, I can't do it anymore. And of course, everyone's circumstance is different, and that happens in families. Some are able to always give that care, and others, for whatever reason, simply can't. And our family was in a situation where we simply couldn't anymore due to health reasons. And it was heartbreaking to drop Dylan off and have to come home, and then a few years later to drop Jimmy off and have to come home without them. But I always remember their mother telling me that at least she knows they're always well cared for. That was one thing she always was grateful, that she didn't have to worry, that they were going to be well cared for. And she knew as long as they were at Flat Rock, they would never have to worry. There was always going to be good quality care here at Flat Rock, and I know that was very comforting for her, especially as her illness progressed and she realized that she wasn't going to be around to care for them any longer, that she knew they were in a very good place.
I have seen these boys in their worst moments, when they were either harming themselves or harming their mother through their aggressive behavior, which was a part of their developmental disabilities. But I've also seen them at their best moments. I baptized those boys, and they were absolutely still as I laid my hands on them and put that water of baptism upon their head, as though they knew that this was a God moment, and they knew that something dramatic and transforming was happening in their life. The night that I went to the visiting hours for their mom, their grandfather said to me, "Flat Rock is the best place this side of heaven." The biggest concern we have is that we can't serve more children. because of difficulties with federal funding and state funding, we have a waiting list that is over 2 years long. When a parent needs help, they are desperate. They need help now. They are at the end of their own ability to cope with the situation of their child's needs. And it just breaks my heart when I sit at the table with those parents and see that, they need that help now, and I have to say to them, we will take your child, but it may be 2 or 3 or 4 years before we can have a bed for that child. We need to do a lot more work in our society at facing the financial obligation to help families that have children with severe disabilities. We measure small successes as huge accomplishments for the people that we serve because they have had to meet so many challenges to reach that success. And one of the things that we love to do here is to celebrate when someone finally is able to accomplish a task that prior to this limited their lives.